Hello everyone, long time no see, and I'm not really good at intros, so I'm just gonna get into it. I'm going to make a tier list for the upcoming VCL East Surge. I'm gonna roughly place teams around where I would expect them to end up at the end of the league, or maybe even at the end of the playoffs. And as obviously it's been a very long time since we've seen some of these teams, some of these players. Overall the league being played, because there's been some tournaments, but you cannot treat a lot of them very seriously. Some of the teams treated them less seriously. Some of the players have been taking their times off and have not had the chemistry going on, yada yada yada. Everyone's gonna be completely different going into the league. That's my point basically. So there's a couple references we're gonna be able to make, but other than that, is just wild guesses. Um, so first of all, what I wanted to say is I'm really happy that we're coming back because, as I just mentioned, it's been so long and I've been doing literally nothing. I've not really been that much into Valorant for the past couple of months. So I'm happy to be back. And yeah, let's get right into it, as I said. So on the screen, we have the teams and their lineups. And we are going to start from the top, I believe. So let's focus on Anonymous. They're a team that got announced as one of the last teams that got their rosters announced. And as I am currently recording it, it's not yet even been announced. So we're going to have to wait before we release the video. Sneak, Grubinho, Katu, Steaks, and Xus. Ah, I mean, this just looks like such a classic Polish lineup, and a lot of people are making them out to be an up and coming Polish super team, and I would kind of agree with that. And that would definitely make me place them very high up. So right off the bat, I'm gonna talk shortly about the teams, and then we're gonna place them onto the tier list. Ascend, and now this is such a surprise. Ascend is joining East Surge, such a huge organization. And just take a look at the nicknames that we have there: Monster, Badi G, Alive, Musashi, and Brody. I do not know a lot about Brody, but even without him, this team looks like such a massive beast. So if he turns out to be on par with the rest of the players on the team, I think there's just no stopping to them. But we will see. I have a little bit of a wild guess towards them too. A little bit of a theory that maybe will come true, maybe not. We'll talk about that later. Bait Esports, that's a new org completely coming into our league. The Ukrainian players have been joined into the East Surge kind of group, and I'm really happy to see the Ukrainian players. I'm very happy to see the Ukrainian org joining in too. And it's an interesting lineup too. We've got Kamisek and Kamil from the previous Anonymous Esports from the previous season. We've got Admik, who's a very formidable Polish player. And I was like kind of thinking about, we have Xus in Anonymous, we have Admik right here in Bait. And I was talking about like the previous team Keso, the Polish team Keso. And obviously it's looking a little bit different, but Anonymous Esports kind of reminds me of that. Kind of reminds me of that time. And it's good to see Admik back, of course. Arch and Dreamas. So two, I'm not really sure if I can call them big names. I'm not sure if we can call Arch such a big name currently, but he definitely was back in the old days, back before we even had the Challenger Leagues. And to me, it's just so good to see him back. So good to see him play on this level again. And yeah, I remember him from Entropic days when they were in the Czech team, when they were a mixture of Poles and Ukrainians. So that was lovely. I'm really looking forward to what he can achieve right here. He's a big brain player for sure, and yeah, Dreamas also. Really disappointed with the amount of Lithuanian players that we've had this far in East Surge. I would definitely expect there to be more of them. But then on the other hand, we have a lot of them in the VCT as they are great players, obviously. But I didn't expect there to be such a gap between like the VCT Lithuanian players and like the best Lithuanian players that are going to French and Spanish and all the best leagues. Between them and the bottom kind of line where we don't have as many, I don't know if I can call them semi-pro maybe, Lithuanian players. There's not a lot of them here. Just look at that. I expected there to at least be a single full Lithuanian team before East Surge started last year, and a lot more singular players scattered around. And here we can see only Dreamas, who's joining us now. He wasn't here before, and Ori and Anorthosis, and he also wasn't here before. So where are the Lithuanian players? Well, Diamond Esports, they're looking pretty much similar to what you would expect them. They're looking the same as they looked during the off season. They've already played a couple tournaments in this lineup, and I'm really happy to see them back again, of course. They surprised us massively in the first year of East Surge, and I hope that they can continue to surprise us positively again. Zero Tenacity, no changes made in this lineup. Only Critic joins them as the coach. Also very happy about that. A little bit of an unfortunate run. They were kind of convinced that they had the playoffs secured at the end of the second season last year, but it didn't really work out that way. So this year, I hope they are even more hungry to get the success. And I see no faults with that team whatsoever. But yeah, once again, we'll talk maybe a little bit more in detail on the tier list. Once again, I kind of thought that it's going to be a short sort of a video, like 15 minutes, but judging by how much I'm already talking, it's going to be longer. Rapid Ninjas. Okay, these guys won the VEU, the Valorant East United, the lower league below East Surge. Last year, so they qualified to East Surge this year, and I'm very happy to see them. Again, we've got a lot of great Hungarian players, and we've had some attempts at some Hungarian lineups, but overall, the Hungarians have not done as well as I would have expected them before we started the East Surge League. I'm talking about like before the VCLs. Once again, back to like season 0, if we can call it that, back to when there was no G2 and organizations like that. We had a very solid Need More DM. We had a very solid Hungarian team, and I expected that to be a great fire starter for the Hungarian scene, and we've already seen a lot of potential right there, but it's never really bitten as much as I would have expected again. Then we've got Enterprise Esports. Not many changes here, but one huge change. We've got Benji Fishy joining the lineup. So many I'm expecting bringing some Fortnite friends of his, and I'm very familiar with Benji Fishy. I used to be a Fortnite pro player myself. So I've seen this guy rise to the top, and I'm just so excited to see him in the league. I'm just so excited to watch him make his career happen in Valorant too. He's still very young, so there's just so much ahead of him. And it's really curious to see him mixed in with all the Czech players. Normally, I talked to some other commentators, and they were also slightly worried what the communication is going to be like in this team. But these guys have proven us time and time again. The interviews have been great with these guys. They've got great English, so I don't think it's going to be a problem whatsoever. So yeah, Benji Fishy mixing in. He's got some friend here in the form of Mini. They have good English, and I'm just curious as to what he's gonna be like. You have to admit I haven't watched his streams because I know that he's been streaming Valorant. He's been playing a lot of duo queue with Mini. He's been out there, and I've heard players talking about him, but I've never seen him play, so I have no idea what to expect, basically. Is he going to be a great star and carry in the team? Is he going to be a little bit more mellow and in the background? We don't know. At least I don't know. I'm sorry. Nom Esports coming up, and I'm really surprised right here. We have Do Ninja, Knoxville, Under XP, Splinter, and Rave. But We have Sean P as a sub. He's on the bench. I'm not sure if I like that decision. I guess we'll have to find out how they do when we get in the mix, when we play the matches. But I have no idea what the reason could be behind putting Sean P on the bench, but he seems to have been such an important player for this lineup, for the Israeli players, basically. Overall, for the Israeli teams. So not seeing him in the regular lineup, ouch. I don't know. And from what I've heard, a lot of people are not expecting Nami Sports to do hot, and you will see in the tier list later that I also don't think that they will do hot. Another Famagusta Esports, that's another team. We've still got the Greek core. It's the team that's just making the same changes every single time. We've got Theo kind of example, and they're throwing in some Brits, some Frenchmen. They're throwing in some Poles and Lithuanians this time around, it seems. And as much as I love seeing Hugh break in this lineup, and I love seeing Ori actually having a team, because there seemed to have been some issues on his side, and he wasn't even sure if he's going to be able to play coming into 2023. I'm not so sure about this lineup either. I became a huge Anatholis fan over the previous seasons, and I'm going to continue to be one, of course, but I'll talk about the issues when we place them on the tier list. Cyberwolves Esports, now here we've got some remaining players from the previous NOM, from Lewandowski, Almofrey, and Hitch, obviously, but they are joined by Pyro, a new face coming into East Surge for sure, but also Tatsuki, the previous main duelist for Diamant Esports. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the rivalry goes between these two guys, of course, between Cyberwolves and Diamant. But yeah, that's for the future. Okay. We've got the teams broken down. I should also talk a little bit about the coaches, I think. Belmonte, an amazing coach. One of my favorite, if not their favorite coach that I have for a long time already. I would definitely put Yautzin up there too for me, because these are the guys that I know the most. I have some insight into how they do things, and I very much like how they do things. Obviously, probably also because they're Polish, so I can have better contact with them, and so. But yeah, I definitely love Belmonte as Anonymous Esports coach. Looking forward to seeing what they'll be able to achieve like this. NBS, he's been a coach with Ascent for just so long, and I've already known him for so long. He's been on Molpenki. I've always been friends with Zeke, so I've kind of followed Zeke's career alongside with NBS's career, obviously. So I'm really glad to see him sticking with Ascent, and I'm really looking forward to what he can achieve with them too. Paco, we already know. Diamond Esports are just always talking about him. Every single interview, they had to mention how Paco is just doing a great job for them, and has a lot of influence on how they play. So great, good to see him continuing the cooperation with Diamond. Critic, he's a guy that used to be a player. He's a guy that's had his ups and downs in the career and has been a little bit moody, if I can call it that, because he switched to coach to player to coach to player, and he's been jumping here and there. But he definitely is a very smart guy, and I believe that he had some time with these guys already. If I remember correctly, it was one of the LANs organized by PLE in Krakow, and he jumped in as a kind of a sub coach for Zero Tenacity, and it's worked wonders for them. If I'm not mistaken, they have lost during the first day of the LAN, and then he jumped in for the second day of the LAN, and they won all the remaining matches from the losers bracket to grab the victory in the entirety of the tournament. So that was huge and impressive, and I believe that he's also had some influence over that. Nightmare K, not much to say right here. I just don't know the guy. I'm sorry. Matty, we've seen him as a player for the previous NOM Esports, so for the Lewandowski core that we have in Cyberwolves right now. He swapped over to coach. just excited to see what he's going to be able to bring. Not much to say about his coaching work because we've not seen him be a coach, so we don't really know what he's capable of. So just good luck to him and his team, and I'm definitely happy that he's able to stay in East Surge, that he's able to continue working in the Valorant esports, and that he is on Anorthosis Famagusta, a team that I like so much. And for Cyber Wolves Esports, we've got Fisty. I also don't know the work of this guy, but I know that he's been working. He's been a coach for some time already. It's not his debut, so to say. So we'll see. I'll probably ask in the future, ask in the interviews during the league how he's doing and what his input is in the team. All right, so let's get rid of the teams. I'm still going to have them open. I'm still going to be looking at them a little bit. And let's start the tier list making. Okay, I think we should just right off the bat start with the easiest ones. I think there is no way that Ascend should not be S tier. And I mentioned that I will want to say a little bit, that I've got a little theory of mine, and that theory of mine is obviously everybody is expecting Ascend to be huge favorites in this league, and I believe that the plan behind Ascend joining this league is just to beat everyone very easily, go on to Ascendance, and just qualify to VCT for the upcoming season when they can join the league again. Very simple plan. But I also believe that we had a very similar situation in Team Finest in the first season of Valorant East Surge. They basically joined as a huge favorite. Everybody expected them to win. Everybody expected them to go to the VCL finals. Now it would have been called. I don't remember what. VRL. Okay, VRL finals. There we go. What a brain fart. So yeah, everybody believed that they would go on to play in the VRL finals and qualify to the VCT. Well, that didn't happen. We all remember what happened. Finest got absolutely demolished. They lost against just about everyone, and they ended up dropping out of VRL East Surge. VRL, wow, VCL is so much easier. I was worried that I was not going to remember to swap over from VRL to VCL, but I don't remember VRL already. So yeah, they dropped out, and that's it. The players just scattered all over the place, and now we have Alive back in the form of Ascend. So he's trying to, like, make things right again, I guess, to correct the mistakes that Team Finest made, and this time as Ascend do the same thing. Just go into the league, smash the league, go into VCT. I believe that's the plan, and I believe that's a realistic plan, but we have to keep in mind that what happened to Team Finest, and that it may also happen to Ascend. It's not always that easy. We expected some of the teams to do very poorly in East Surge, but they've done really well all of a sudden. We're talking about Anorthosis and Diamond, who are still in the league, whom everybody expected to just instantly drop out to not be relevant at all, but they're still here, and they're doing really good, and they're qualifying to the playoffs, and I mean, it's not that easy in East Surge. You might expect that it's going to be easy, but it's not that easy. And the other leagues might think low of us, might put us low on their tier lists and not expect East Surge to be dangerous. But in my opinion, it is the most dangerous league. It's not a favorite league. It's not the S tier league, but it's definitely the one that can surprise you all. And it does surprise us all, as we've seen throughout Season 1 and Season 2. I don't know Mentos, esports, not Mentos anymore. I've put them in S tier 2. I believe in the idea of this Polish super team, but I will also have to see how they go about it, basically. How they divide the roles in the team. Back in the days, Sneak was just a fill kind of a player. He would do whatever the team needed the most. He would do whatever the team needed to succeed. And I think that he's probably still in the same mindset. He's going to do whatever the team needs to succeed. But I also feel like he's gotten a taste of what he can do, and he is given a little bit more comfort. I don't think he's just as mellow of a player anymore that's just gonna settle with playing Sentinel. He's gonna be a little bit, gonna want to be a little bit more in the spotlight, and that creates potentially a bit of tension in the lineup, a little bit of ego growing, because we've got some great players on that lineup, and I believe that there's going to be a lot of ego. Like, we have Grubinho, who's become a huge star in the Spanish scene after his last season, and he was already an insane up and coming player before in the Polish scene, but he was and is also very young. But now that ego is going to be growing, I believe. We've got Katu, who for a long time was also rated as one of the top dogs of the Polish scene. We've got Ksus, who was also rated that way. He was rated at the top, but his previous season, he had his ups and downs. So I'm wondering how he copes with that, basically. And then we've got Sneak also, who can be a hero, but can also be a support. And I want to see how they kind of balance it out. It's going to be a huge challenge for Belmonte to rein in these players, because I'm not sure. Maybe I'm pulling this out of my ass, but I don't think it's an easy team to control. And they will require a bit of that. So it's an S tier for me. It's easily an S tier for me, judging by the potential of the team, but how they use it is going to be a completely different thing. And we'll have to judge after a couple of the first matches if they need to work on some things, if they're ready to actually fulfill the role of an S tier team and try to battle it out with Ascent for the first place in our league. So these are the easiest teams for me, because these are the two uncontested S tier teams, in my opinion. Now it's gonna get a little bit wonky, as all of the other teams could be very similar in strength. Due to no changes in Zero Tenacity and them having come so close last season to qualifying for the playoffs, but they didn't, and now they added a coach in their lineup that I also believe in, I think they will stay around the same place. They will still be that third to fifth place kind of team, and a lot will depend on singular matches, singular points, and I think that they have to be 100% motivated from the very start till the very end of the league. This time they should understand that there is no time to really rest during the league. If you don't win that one single match that you thought that might not matter, it might actually take away your chances of qualifying to the playoffs. So yeah, I just feel like they should be even more motivated than last season, and a little bit more refined. That's all. So what comes next? Now, due to Ascend and Anonymo being so high up, I also think that there are some teams that have their issues. I don't think that VCL East Search is going to be as close as it was before anymore, because in Season 1 and in Season 2, it really came down to the wire. It really was about just one result, and it could have flipped the entirety of the standings. But this time around, I don't think it's going to be that close. It's still going to be exciting. It's still going to be really evened out. But I do think that we are going to have some clearly better teams and some clearly worse doing teams in the league. And as I said, I believe that Nami Sports putting Sean P on the bench, I just don't believe that. That it is a good move. I just don't overall see huge potential to take down such giants as Ascent or Anonymo, potentially even Zero Tenacity. I think they will be getting some wins, but I do not think that this is a team ready to qualify for the playoffs potentially. I think it's a good starter to finally have a good up and coming team from Israel. It's not like Team Finest, a huge team of stars that's just collapsed under its own pressure. But these guys have to work their way up, and it's just the beginning of that journey. That's what I think. That's how I would put it, and that's why I would put them lower. I'm not sure if I should use like the D and C or whatever. I just well, we'll see. We'll see and adjust later. Now, Bait, they're a new org. They're somewhat of a new team. Dream, once again, let me remind you, Dreamus, Arch, Admik, Camille, and Kamisek. It is a somewhat good looking team to me. Like, I see some structure in that. I see the idea behind that. What I don't see is a star, is the overall firepower. They might stack up to be a very evenly spread and very consistent team. That's the word I was looking for, a very consistent team. But I'm not sure if that's enough to, once again, take down the Giants. I think no. I'll put them in the B tier. I don't think I should put them on par of the A tier. I thought that maybe they could be at the bottom of A tier, but for this moment, it's spot on a B for me. Like, there is potential to be higher than B, but it might as well be lower than B. That's, in my eyes, an average team in the up-and-coming VRL East search. Good. Let's continue. We've got only 5 teams left because Cyberwolves are hiding around here. Okay. So who do we go with next? Who do we go with next? I want to talk about Anorthosis because I have them on on my mind already. And I think that Anorthosis are not gonna do so hot this season. So here's my thing. We've got Ubreak and Ori joining the lineup, and I don't think that these are bad additions whatsoever. But I would like to talk about Anorthosis alongside with Diamond. I will put them right here for a moment just to discuss about these teams, because I want to compare Anorthosis to Diamond a little bit. Anorthosis, I just came to love the players. I just came to love the team. They've got Theo as the main duelist he used to be, at least. I'm not sure if that's going to be changing. They've got Ka, an example. Now let's take a look at a Diamond from, wait, actually maybe I can pull up the previous season. Never mind, I'll do it that way. VRL East Surge. Thank you for not working. Oh my god. How do I even look it up? Why is it so hard? Okay, let's go Anorthosis Famagusta. And let's go VRL Search Stage 2. That's gonna be the easiest way. Show players. So this is basically what Anorthosis looked like. And they had BZT and Bensky right here, and Bensky probably changed. Yeah, Xenon later played in the lineup. We had a facepalm subbing in for a couple of matches. So basically what Anorthosis looked like last season was Theo and BZT. That was their core firepower. And I don't see that in this season's lineup. Let me bring up the teams again. So we've got Ubreak and Ori. Ubreak is not a carry player. I don't know much about Ori, but I also don't think that he's a carry player, or potentially even if he was, I don't think he's a carry player on the VRL East Surge level. So they're missing BZD right here. They're missing, let's take a look at stage 1, because that's an even stronger of an argument right here. They're missing Nathan, who we obviously know, and he was just a Terminator on his KO in Season 1. So for me, they're missing that explosive bit. And now why did I want to talk about Diamond Esports? It's because Diamond had that explosive bit. They had Tatsuki, who could have been explosive. Oh, obviously it wasn't always, but he was pretty consistent actually in how good he was in many of these matches. He was a highlight player for sure. But also, besides that, we had Grmek, we had Prti, who are doing insanely good in some of the occasions, insanely good in some of the matches, on par with Tatsuki. They would even support him. Now, my biggest point of critique towards Anartodis Famagusta in season 2 was that Theo just wasn't the carry that I would want or expect him to be. I don't know how to say it even. Basically, they are going to be pretty evenly spread, but they're not going to have that spike performance that they need to get to the higher tiers on my tier list, basically. And that's all. That's what I wanted to say right here. So in my eyes, Anarthodis Famagusta are not gonna do that hot this season. I'm gonna put them close to the bottom, but not at the very bottom. Actually, yeah, we'll talk about that at the end. So next, let's talk about Diamond then. Let me quickly remind myself what their team looks like right now. Oh yeah, obviously they have Alien and Runner, and besides that, nothing changes because Prtigremek and Patix are still there. I remember Patix having some really low lows, but he also had some highlight plays. So I'm looking forward to seeing his form this season. I'm overall expecting a little bit more from him than last season, but I don't want to like say that he's bad or whatever. I just want him to be better. Okay. So Diamond, where do we put Diamond Esports? I think that they will also be just about the average in the league. I think that losing Tatsuki is a bit of a hit. He was, after all, a pretty important pillar of the team if we're talking about the skill right there. Bumblebee, he had some really good ideas, and we had some amazing lurks from him. He was definitely also a highlight player on that team. So not having him, well, let's put it that way. There's some pretty big shoes to fill for Runner and Alien. And until I know if they can actually fill these shoes, I'm not going to put them higher or lower. I believe that that's the bottom line for Diamond, that B tier, but I believe that they can also rank up to A tier. I don't think anybody touches S tier. So yeah, let's put them right here in B. We've got 3 teams left. I have no idea where to put Rapid Ninjas, so I'll leave them for the ending. Enterprise, they're just gonna be the very same Enterprise, but they have Benji Fishing. What's that gonna do to the team? Is it going to be a positive change or a negative change? Are they gonna be the Enterprise from the beginning of the season where they dominated? Are they gonna be the Enterprise from the ending of the season where they struggled to close it out and qualify for the playoffs? I'm not sure, which is why I'm gonna put them in B. For me, the B tier is like a tier for teams that are gonna set the bar for the average in VCL East Surge, but I also think that they are all teams that can potentially go much higher, achieve much more than just the B tier. But they first have to prove it before I believe it. Right? I think that's fine. So all we have left is Cyber Wolves and Rapid Ninjas. Let's put them right here for now. Cyber Wolves. So the core of Lewandowski, Alma, Frey, and Hitch. How much do I believe in these guys? I feel like Almo's been progressing very steadily throughout the previous season. He's been opening up. I feel like he's been a little bit of a timid kind of a player for me before on the Polish scene, but throughout the VRL East Surge, he's been slightly evolving and opening up and showing us more and more of his character and more of his gameplay, also the possibilities of what he's able to do in the game, on the server. So for me, Almo, I've definitely been watching his growth. I like the addition of Tatsuki. As I said, the Diamond took a hit by not having him on the lineup anymore. So the team that received Tatsuki is definitely gonna be very happy with him. I don't know much about Pyro. Welcome to the league. Hitch, obviously always reliable. That's been his name of the game throughout the entirety of season 2. I don't remember season 1 that well. And then we got Frey right there. Looks like a pretty solid team. And So that makes me think, why did I want to place them here? Why did I want to place them in the C tier by the bottom of the standings? I feel like they are also another B tier. But how are they gonna do without Camo? He was just such a carry to the team. Then Bobbis joined them, and I couldn't really taste any flavor from that too much. The Camo was just such a huge player for this lineup. So Mati, he decided to be a coach. He's an Anathosis right now, and Camo, after his, well, let's maybe not talk about that. He's had a break. He's cooled his head down. He's now doing once again really hot in Valorant. He's just such a great player. And let's leave it at that. I feel like Tatsuki is a very good player, but he's not good enough to be a replacement for Camo. I mean, come on, it was Camo. But it's not gonna be much worse by any means. And now Mati, I believe that season 2 just didn't really belong to him. He's been on a downhill slope slightly, so whatever Parlo's gonna bring to the team, he doesn't have that huge boots to fill. But then if we compare him to Mati from season 1, then he's got huge boots to fill, and a lot of good memories about Mati from season 1. So we'll have to wait and see. Overall, I would place this team in B tier once again, meaning this team can achieve so much more. But also, potentially, they could just not work out at all. I have no idea what to expect of them. And I think that's fair. I don't know, like, I cannot place them above Bait, clearly. I cannot place them above Diamond, clearly. I could place them along the lines of Enterprise. And remember, Enterprise was a really strong team last season, so it's not an insult to be right here alongside with them. It's not a bad spot. It's just that the top is so stacked. Zero Tenacity, like, you cannot take anything away from them compared to last season. But these teams have had some changes. These teams have had some issues by the ending of the previous season. So logically, they're going to be placed a little bit lower. And that's just lower from SNA, basically. Rapid Ninjas, the last team that I want to talk about. How long is that? Almost 40 minutes already, man. I just cannot make short videos. But I mean, if anybody wants to watch it, they'll watch it. If nobody wants to watch it, I'm still fine with having talked about it to myself, with having organized my thoughts about these teams before we started the league. I'm gonna go and cast the first play day tomorrow, so it's just good practice for me, I guess, too. Well, Rapid Ninjas, where do I want to put them? They won VEU, Valorant East United, so the lower league. They qualify right here. They have surprised everyone in VEU because a lot of people expected Finest Origin, I believe it was, which I mean, these players are just mixing and matching all the time. But we had Duninja there, we had Sean P there. So basically, we could call Nom Esports a part of that Finest Origin. That was one of the favorites to win that tournament. And then we had Lenovo Legion Honvet, or Legion, Lenovo Legion Honvet, as another favorite. And Rapid Ninjas was not the favorite, but they won. They surprised everyone. And what I liked about this team was their hard work, their sheer dedication. You could clearly see that they had more passion for the game than the other teams that were on that tournament. And I'm really glad that they won it because they deserved it the most, basically. Now, about the gameplay and how they're gonna do in VCL East Surge. Now I'm back to VRL. I couldn't remember VRL, and now I'm talking about VRL all the time. Oh, that's so weird. So how are they gonna do in VCL East Surge? It's just so hard looking at these teams. I said this time it's not gonna be as close as it was in season 1, season 2. This time it's not gonna be everybody with the same amount of points in just one match, or just a couple rounds deciding if you're going in or out of the playoffs. But looking at this right now, I feel like it could once again very much be that. I cannot put Rapid Ninjas above Unorthodox. I have my doubts towards Unorthodox, but they're still a very solid team. It's just so weird how that looks. Okay, so now to reorganize things a little bit. I just don't believe in that project without Champi. I'll be happy to be surprised. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. But for now, that's what I think. Rapid Ninjas, I cannot put them above any of these teams. I'm sorry. I don't think they're a bad team. But I need them to prove themselves a little bit more. I need them to... I just need to get to know them more, basically. I've only watched this team for 2 days. Come on, give me a break. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pretty happy with what that looks like. This is fine. I don't know about Bait. Maybe I'm just giving them a little bit too much respect based on them being a new orc. Being so happy that I get to see Arch again. And Admake once again on that lineup. He's definitely a guy that pulls them up a little bit. But then I'm not so sure about Kamisek and Kamil. Kamisek had his ups and downs. He could very much be a carry for Anonymous, but I also feel like I'm influenced a little bit by some other co-casters, because one of my co-casters is a manager for him, and another co-caster is just a huge fan overall of their previous lineup of the Anonymous. They used to be called Fataha. So I had two of these guys just last season all the time talking about Kamisa. He's so good. I love him so much. He's so great. Just look at that. So I'm kind of influenced by that. But taking off the rose-tinted glasses, I don't think he did that hot last season to make him to be like an up-and-coming MVP in this season. I still think there's a little bit more to work on. And I also believe that Camille, I've, on the other hand, been hyping him up a little bit too much. But he's not been that great of a race. Like, he's an amazing race, but he's not really been able to showcase it so much in VRL East Surge Stage 2. He was able to do that in some of the other online tournaments, in some of the smaller tournaments, on the Polish scene alone, but I don't think he was as much of a flashy player as I expected him to be in the previous season. So I am gonna bump them down a notch, because I feel like I am a little bit too subjective about this team. And it's gonna be much more realistic if I like them so much, so I put them a little bit lower, because that should even out me liking them, I guess. I don't know. Are you guys happy with that? I'm gonna get... Nah, I'm not gonna get as much shit as Enfist got. He said Diamond is just gonna be the worst team. I can't believe he said that. Anyway, see you guys tomorrow, 1700, 5 p.m. Central European time. We'll see you in the first play day of VCL East Surge. Looking forward to that. Very excited. Bye bye.